to the Free Kick Podcast. My name is Todd, and your Philadelphia Union unfortunately draw 3-3 against Inter Miami last night. A game that the Union could have, maybe should have won, probably should have won, but you know, that's what happens with good teams. Good teams find ways to get results, and that's exactly what Inter Miami is. They're a very good team in MLS, and I know they had won prior to this game, one game in the last five. And Miami isn't what I think anybody would have expected through 15 games in this season. But again, you can never discredit the players they have on their team in Lionel Messi and Luis Suarez, Jordi Alba, Sergio Busquets, and the rest of the Barcelona, former Barcelona players, I should say. But regardless, you know, we all knew what last night was going to be. We knew it was going to be a ton of fans that were there to see Messi. We knew last night was going to be a lot of booing from Union fans anytime that Messi and company got on the ball. We knew that all Messi needed last night was one moment of brilliance, and that's exactly what he got with his free kick goal last night. And again, disappointing for the Union to see them blow a 2-goal lead. But as we know, 2-goal leads are the worst in soccer. And the Union had multiple opportunities to finish the game out, but they came short. So obviously we're going to talk about last night's game. We'll go ahead and talk about dropping points in stoppage time. We'll talk about how the Union contained Messi and Suarez. Tai Baribo's form, in excellent form through 14 games in MLS this season that he's played in with the Union. We'll talk about the Union off to the best start in 15 games. We'll talk about Blunder of the week, and then we'll obviously talk about the news. But actually, before we get about the news, I do want to address something. It's been a little bit since I've done the podcast, and I've had a couple of people reach out to me and be like, "Hey, what's going on? Where's the podcast?" And let's go ahead and just address what's been going on and what my life has been the last week. So I got a text on Sunday or whatever it was last Sunday that my best friend from high school was in the ICU. And so I went to the hospital to visit him on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. And unfortunately, he passed away on Tuesday. And I was just not in the right headspace creatively to give you guys articles, goals, breakdown videos, or even doing this podcast. And Jose and we had talked. I'm like, yeah, it's just best that we put this on hold because life's more important than doing this podcast. And very, very sad situation, honestly. Alex was battling stage 4 colon cancer for 2 years, and unfortunately lost his battle with colon cancer, and was rushed last Friday to the ICU for a heart attack. And like I said, I got the message from his mom that he was in the ICU, and so had visited him and spent his last couple of days here on Earth in the hospital, and was really shaken up by that. And I still am processing my emotions and everything of what went on. And the one thing that I think I take away from loss, and I would share with all you guys, is, you know, the next day isn't guaranteed, and don't be afraid to tell people how you feel about them. Don't be afraid to tell people that you love them. And I was fortunate enough to be able to text Alex on Monday morning. It was super early in the morning on Monday, 2:30. He FaceTimed me. I didn't see it for whatever reason. I checked my phone at 3 a.m. and I saw I had a missed FaceTime call, and I had a whole bunch of texts. And we were talking and just kept telling each other that, you know, we loved each other, and had a really, really nice conversation with him. And, you know, having that closure and knowing that I got to have that conversation with him before he passed away one Tuesday night, that meant a lot. And going to the hospital, seeing him on Sunday have his eyes open, and acknowledging that I was there, knowing that I was physically there, and also Monday too. And then Tuesday was really, really difficult. So yeah, that's the reason why we decided not to do the podcast at all last week. Didn't have any goals breakdown videos or articles, and a lot of positive memories I'll keep with Alex forever. And Yeah, losing somebody's tough. And I'm sure, you guys listen to the podcast, whether it be live or people listening back on the podcast feed. Uh, I'm sure some of you guys know that feeling and everything. And so, I guess, like I had said, if I had one word of advice for people is don't have any regrets. Like tell people how you feel about them. And so, uh, yeah, I try my best every single day to tell people that I love them, I care about them, and I say it to you guys, the listeners. I love all the support you guys give me for the podcast. You guys are so great with your comments, and you guys, I know are for me, and I know I'm there for you guys. And a lot of you guys that listen to this podcast, I would actually say most of you guys who listen to the podcast, I've never met in person, but it doesn't mean that I don't appreciate you guys. And so, yeah, never regret telling people how you feel, because your last day on earth, you never know when it's going to be. So don't take life for granted and don't miss opportunities to tell people how you feel. That is why we had missed the last week or so doing the podcast, articles, and goals breakdown videos. But like I had said, we have news to talk about. And what better way to talk about the news than Quinn Sullivan getting called up to the United States men's national team. So with that said, let's get straight into the news. All right, so only one news point to talk about, and that is Quinn Sullivan getting called up to the United States men's national team 27-player roster for training camp ahead of June matches against Turkey and Switzerland. This is Quinn Sullivan's first time called up to the national team, participating with the full national team in their training camp. And it's looking promising for Quinn Sullivan to be included in that Gold Cup roster during the summertime. And we all know Quinn has had a fantastic season with the Philadelphia Union. Prior to the game against Inter Miami, Quinn has had 14 appearances in MLS, scoring 1 goal, assisting 6. He was also tied for 9th most chances created with 29 and tied for 5th in terms of big chances created with 7. Quinn Sullivan's definitely filled that role that Daniel Gazag's left behind, where Daniel Gazag was one of the Union's most creative players. Obviously, you have Kai Wagner, no more Jack McGlynn, as we all know this season. And Quinn Sullivan's definitely upped his game, definitely been one of the Union's best players so far through 15 games with the Union. Obviously, last night he gets that goal against Inter Miami. We'll talk about that here in a bit. But it's a huge honor for Quinn Sullivan to get this call up. And it was also nice to see that the Union have even more ties to this 27-man roster, with Matt Freese, Mark McKenzie, Jack McGlynn, and Brendan Aronson all getting called up to the national team. Huge Union ties for this training camp. And yeah, hopefully all those players make it for the Gold Cup. And it's interesting to see where there was a article that Charlie Boehm for MLS just put up a couple of days ago talking about the Union's just strategy with the academy, getting players coming through the academy. I'll link that in the show description because I actually didn't have that in my notes. But yeah, it just talked about Ernst Tanner giving some quotes saying that we haven't even seen the best with the academy. That they're starting to get constant results, getting guys coming through the academy. Last night we had Brendan Aronson and Paxton Aronson, both former academy guys, both former first team guys in the building for last night's match against Inter Miami. Both guys doing fantastically well in Europe. Mark McKenzie had a good season in France this year. Austin Trusty, a little bit disappointed he didn't get called up. I thought he's had a decent season at times with Celtic in Scotland. And yeah, just to see Union representation all over this roster, it's a credit to what the Union are doing in the academy. And yeah, it sucks. I mean, how many times do you guys come onto the show or other Union shows on social media complaining about, yeah, I wish the Union would hold on to their academy players just a little bit longer. I wish they wouldn't sell these guys as fast as they do. And I would say that the Union know when to sell these guys at the right time. And the one thing I appreciate about Ernst Tanner is he's not selling these guys just to sell them to get whoever's giving the highest fee. He's selling them to clubs that are going to continue their development, to continue to get the most out of them. And so, yeah, it might have hurt to see Paxton Aronson leave maybe a little bit too early, but when you get a $6 million plus offer from Frankfurt for Paxton Aronson, who hadn't played a whole lot with the first team, you don't turn that offer down. And yes, of course, you wonder what Paxton could have been if he would have stayed for another year and a half. And yeah, with the season that Quinn Sullivan's having, you wonder if the Union are going to be able to hold on to him past his summertime. And I would imagine if Quinn gets caught up to the Gold Cup roster, has a strong Gold Cup, it's going to be even more difficult to hold on to Quinn Sullivan. So, yeah, I mean, a huge honor to see Quinn Sullivan finally caught up to the national team, finally get rewarded for having a strong season. Valerie chiming in here, whole bunch of hearts and everything. She says, nice to know Brendan and Paxton were there last night. Minnie checking in here with the high five, waving hello. Mandy, thank you for tuning in. But yeah, huge honor for Quinn Sullivan. And prior to this game against Inter Miami, Bradley Cornell was asked about his thoughts on Quinn getting called up to the national team. And this is what Bradley Cornell had to say to the media.
Yeah, it's been brewing. I think just with his performances over time now, he's just been waiting for that one moment. For him and his family, it's a proud moment just to be recognized for the good work and now to be rewarded for that and to be excited about a camp coming up. And we've told all our national players, we're still together for another week and there's 3 more games. And while we're getting all these call-ups and information and what have you, there's a lot of work to be done. And I think Quinn's the first one to know what's on the stake tomorrow on the platform and not to overthink things and just to do his job, what he's been getting rewarded and recognized for.
Yeah, and last night you heard Bradley Cornell saying he knows what's on stake. Quinn Sullivan knows what's on stake for the match against Inter Miami. And what better way to come out and score a goal 7 minutes into the game? Not letting this call up to the national team get to his head, just continues going about his business. And that's the one thing that I appreciate about Quinn. Yeah, he may turn the ball over a lot. Yeah, there may be times, I've said it plenty of times on this podcast, where he slows things down when he turns the ball over too much. But look, at least he's creating opportunities. At least he's willing to take risk. And I think that's what all fans want to see, right? They want to see fans, not play conservative. They want to see players take the opposition on 1v1. Because Kai Wagner, it took him a while to get an assist. Finally gets an assist last night against Inter Miami. His last one came against St. Louis City on March 22nd. And so all the pressure can't be on Kai Wagner to create for this team. Daniel Gazak was creating, but then you obviously trade him to Columbus. Jack McGlynn was a huge creator for this team last year. You trade him before the start of the season to Houston. And so who was going to step up? Quinn Sullivan has been that player. He's been a big player for the Union. And it's going to be a tough loss in the summertime, obviously, if he gets called up to the gold team, if the Union are unable to keep hold of him. I think Dalen John Jock continues to have himself a really strong 2025 season. And I would ask you guys that right now, the listeners, you guys are chiming in right here live. I appreciate all you guys chiming into the podcast, live commenting. You guys help get the show rolling. You guys keep the show going along. So I appreciate the comments. Keep them coming in. But who are your top 3 Union players so far this season? I think for me personally, I think everybody's going to say Tai Baribo, 13 goals on the season, of course. But then I would say Quinn Sullivan, number 2. I think Quinn's pretty clear number 2. I think maybe he could make a push for number 1 with Tai Baribo, but I do feel pretty solid having Quinn at number 2. And then for me, it comes down between Danley John Jock and Jovan Lukic. I think Danley just edges past Jovan Lukic because of the goals and the assist. But let's not forget that Jovan has a couple goals himself as well. And so I do think that you can't go wrong if you say Danley's number 3 or if you say Jovan's number 3. Both have had fantastic seasons. But again, it's good to see the Union not relying just on one player. And when those players that are your game changers aren't performing, you have other players that are stepping up. And that's what I love about this team. So many guys stepping up when others, may not be on par. And I think that's been the difference why the Union have been in first place in the Eastern Conference. And yeah, you wish that they could have taken care of business against Columbus. I know I'm kind of jumping ahead of myself. We'll talk about that here in a bit. Yeah, you wish they would have got all 3 points against Inter Miami. But at the same time, when your strikers aren't scoring goals, you're getting goals from other areas on the field. The Union have 11 different goal scorers, I think, so far this season. I'll have to go back and check it. It's either 10 or 11. But at the same time, again, you're going back watching so many players stepping up in big moments when other players, just seem not to have it on the night. Mandy says, glad to see Quinn having himself a year and getting the recognition. Was afraid he'd be overshadowed by Cavan. And that's a good point. I think that's actually a big reason why Quinn's able to perform as well as he is, because the national spotlight's not really on Quinn Sullivan. I think it's starting to get there because of the season that he's having. But everybody wants to talk about his younger brother, Kevin, which is fine. Go ahead, talk about Kevin, because that means less pressure on Quinn Sullivan. And the more that Quinn continues to perform, the more people are going to talk about him. And so I think Quinn approached the season with no pressure whatsoever. What did he have to lose? He gets that U22 contract during the offseason, a huge contract, a huge deal for him. We saw that he had this in him where, okay, he had a pretty strong season with the Union, but nothing like he's having this season in 2025 under Bradley Cornell. And because everybody wants to talk about Kevin Sullivan, Quinn can just quietly go about his business, get assists, get secondary assists, get a goal here and there, create chances. And so, yeah, credit to Quinn for just going about his business quietly. And I think before we know it, he'll start getting more and more national media attention. And again, I mentioned it a little while ago. Yeah, it sucks watching homegrown players get sold, but at the same time, look, it's a business, and when guys are performing, they obviously have the goal of going to Europe, and so Quinn Sullivan's no different than anybody else that the Union have sold in the past. Manny says, in terms of her 3 best Union players so far this season, Danley, John Jock, Jovan Lukic, and Quinn/Tai for the goal contributions. Valerie says same for me too. I think when she's talking about Tai, Quinn, and Danley. Valerie also says Ua has made some great assists. Had a great assist last night. We'll talk about that here in a bit, Valerie. And then Mindy also says Frankie and Rick, I think, would definitely be breaking my top 5 as well. Neither in a position that they would be, but doing a great job regardless. And yeah, I saw a lot of people last night that were upset that Frankie Westfield didn't get the start. Nathan Harriel finally makes his first start at right back since the New York City game away. And I think Nathan had a fantastic game last night, but Frankie Westfield's definitely had himself a fantastic season so far. And Frankie, for sure, I mean, if I'm asking top 5, 100% in that top 5 category. And then I would obviously keep Jovan and Danley in there as well. Go Messi from my old next door neighbor, Mr. Art, my friend Tyler, who used to do the podcast with me, his dad. Go Messi, go Messi. Well, scores a goal, right? So for everybody tuning in last night, they did get to see a Messi goal, a beautiful free kick, I may add, from Lionel Messi last night. But yeah, I guess that's pretty much everything I have on Quinn Sullivan. And let's go ahead and talk about last night's game. Philadelphia Union 3 into Miami 3. Quinn Sullivan, Tai Baribo scoring a brace. Taddeo, Alanda, Lionel Messi, and Talasco Segovia scoring the goals last night. And last night, I mean, I said it to Kyle Omni in the press box that this looks like a playoff game. And it felt at times like a playoff game. I do think last night, unfortunately, there was too many moments where it was too quiet. But at the beginning of the game, when it would be Andrew Rick making a save, or when it would be Nathan Harriel, Alawatu Makanya making a tackle, the crowd would applaud it. They would cheer. They knew that was a big moment. And the Union really took the sting out of the game 7 minutes in with Quinn Sullivan scoring a beautiful goal. Kai Wagner taking that corner kick quickly, taking it short. I pointed this out in my goals breakdown video after the podcast. If you guys haven't checked it out, check it out on YouTube, Twitter, or Substack, wherever you guys get those videos for the goals breakdown video. It's out on social media, so you guys can watch after this if you haven't. But it's good awareness by Kai Wagner to take that corner kick quickly, to see nobody's on Quinn Sullivan. Quinn just slowly walks over towards Kai Wagner, collects the ball, opens his hips, and then a beautiful curling effort past Ustari's left-hand side of the net. And the Union couldn't have asked for a better start in this game. And there was moments in the first half, whether it be Jacob Glessens had an opportunity on a Kai Wagner free kick. Glessens gets his head to the ball, but unable to put that shot on target. You obviously had a shot by Nathan Harriel. He had a header that he does put on target, gets free, goes inside of Jordi Alba, but he hits it right at the goalie. It's an easy save for Ustari. But a huge opportunity there for the Union. A huge opportunity to go up 2-0 multiple times in the first half, and then you finally get the goal by Tai Baribo. You had mentioned it, the assist, Valerie, by Mikel Uhre last night. A huge assist, a huge play from Mikel. And I was going to play this clip during the show, but I noticed that for whatever reason, the Union ended the broadcast, the press conference way too early last night. And so we unfortunately don't have the clip of Bradley Cornell talking about Mikel's effort last night. And Bradley essentially said that they went with Mikel Uhre last night to get him behind into Miami's back line. And my goodness, the opportunities were there. That is a terrible defense for Inter Miami. And I saw some Miami fans, or I should say Messi fans, saying on social media, if they don't correct the defense, they are going to struggle massively in the Club World Cup. I agree 100%. Mikel made so many runs in behind last night. Bradley said a little bit unfortunate that they weren't able to create a couple more chances for him. Possibly could have had a goal because of how often he was getting in behind. But that assist on Tai Baribo's first goal a minute before halftime is huge. You have the floated ball into the box from Jovan Lukic. It's a header won by Indy Vassilev over Ian Frey. And then Mikel Uhre had no reason to get to that loose ball inside the 18-yard box, but it's just determination, the hustle by Mikel to go ahead and get to the ball, then hold it up and play it to Tai Baribo, who takes a couple touches and finally scores a goal that isn't first time. And it's a beautiful strike to put the Union up 2-0. And I don't know how many times on this show that we have to talk about Mikel Uhre's performance. Yes, you want your strikers scoring goals, but time and time again, it's assists. It's these runs in behind. It's the endless work rate. And if it's not clear to fans 15 games into the season what Bradley Cornell values, then I don't know what's going to prove that he values the hustle, the determination, more than what we saw last night with Mikel Uhre hustling, winning that ball, and getting the assist for Tai Baribo. There was a moment in the second half where Indiana Vassilev tackles the ball off of Lionel Messi, goes on this crazy run, has a give and go on the right-hand side with Quinn Sullivan. I wanted to put this in my goals breakdown video, but for whatever reason, you can't go over 15 minutes most of the time. And so I had to cut out those chances created. So if you guys want to see chances created, let me know. I can upload another clip to YouTube and we can see some chances created in last night's game. But let me know. If you guys don't want it, then I won't go ahead and upload it. But yeah, it's just beautiful moments where Indiana Vassilev not going to score you a ton of goals, not going to get you a ton of assists, but he's going to work his butt off. He's going to press. And that's exactly what he brought last night. That's what he's brought every single game. And when we talk about the Union just stopping with dropping these points against Columbus, against Inter Miami now, maybe they need a little bit more quality. Maybe a little bit more quality, more professional. That's hard saying more professional players that just know how to close out games is what I want to say. And so maybe the Union go out and buy another attacking midfielder, a more experienced attacking midfielder, because I don't think it's the worst thing in the world having Indiana Vassilev come off the bench or being a spot starter, because I thought it was excellent when Daniel Gazdag was here, having Vassilev come off the bench, because he knows this system, obviously, with Cornell. He's going to work his butt off. He's an engine in that midfield. But maybe he's lacking the chance creation that you would want in a number 10. It can't be all on Quinn Sullivan. But again, Bradley Cornell values hustle, and that's exactly why Indiana Vassilev, Mikel Uhre are constantly in this lineup, constantly getting chances with this team. Yes, they may not be scoring for you. They may not be creating a ton of chances, but they are working their butts off defensively, and that was fantastic to see from Mikel Uhre on the assist to Tai Baribo. Mandy says, I just wanted to see Frankie going chest to chest with Luis Suarez. Tony says, what an absolutely incredible Union performance. I can't believe that wasn't enough. I can't either. I mean, enough chances in that game, Tony, for the Union to come away with all 3 points. McFly says, hands down, the worst guest we've had in the stadium in history in terms of the Inter Miami fans. Club America fans were pretty bad a couple years ago during the CONCACAF Champions League when a whole bunch of them stormed the field after the game, completely trashed the parking lot before and after the game. But yeah, I mean, anytime that Messi fans come to town, it is a complete circus. I do agree. Mandy says, want to see pics from all 360 of Quinn's celebration. Yeah, that was a pretty awesome celebration. Jumping up, I believe it was, on the scoreboard in front of those premium seats, which, by the way, can we talk about that real quick? I didn't even have this in my show notes. Who thought it was a good idea to have these premium seats? If Lionel Messi can't sell out every single premium seat, then I think it's a bad idea that you made the field shorter, you put these premium seats in. From what I hear, they're constantly giving these seats away to people for free. And so if Lionel Messi being in town can't sell out every single premium seat, then nothing's going to do it. So yeah, that was pretty awesome to see Quinn Sullivan jump up on the scoreboard and just celebrating with the fans, all the players surrounding him. McFly says, a lot of sitters were left last night. Absolutely. We'll talk about that here in a bit. Mandy also says, seems the pressers have been starting late / ending early lately. One recently only recorded about 3 minutes. Ooh, that's really disappointing. So that's on me for not recording the press conference, because I always take the union's recording because it's so much better than mine. And there's video. Everybody loves seeing video. So knowing now that the union have been starting them late or ending them early, that is not great. McFly says he loves the goals breakdown video. I appreciate that. Mandy says, love any and all videos with analysis. Always great getting the breakdowns. I appreciate that. Mandy. Valerie says, 10 current union players have scored. Frankie, Ty, Mikael, Ura, Danley, Bruno, Indy, Jan, Jacob, Nate. I guess it would be 11 with Daniel Gazlag, but you said 10 current. And yeah, thank you for doing the research there, Valerie. And last one I'll read real quick. Mandy says they were selling them for like $1K / ticket with a minimum of 4 seats per order. I mean, a joke. Absolute joke. Those pricings for the premium seat. Why people would want to pay for that is beyond me. You guys have seen it on TV. You guys have seen it in person. Every single game, those seats do not sell out. And if Messi can't do it, then nothing will. And I'll be curious to see if the union decide to take the L on that and lower the prices drastically. But yeah, enough of that rant. Let's get back to the game. You guys have been talking about the chances created. Had a huge chance there in the 92nd minute with Jovan Lukic to make it 4-2. Hits the post. Union did so well last night attacking spacing. I thought Danley and Jovan, yeah, defensively at times, they weren't great. But attacking, they were a big part of what the Union were doing last night. You know, splitting the line, making those forward runs, having just more numbers pushed forward than Miami had back defensively. And I think Miami struggled with that a lot last night. Jovan was the recipient of the pass from Danley John Jock. Both number 6s combined for the play where Jovan hits the post. You obviously have the chance, the header from Danley John Jock towards the end of the game that would have made it 4-3. Can't put his header on target. And it's unfortunate. You had also Danley John Jock passing it to the near post to Tai Baribo. Baribo gets a shot saved. Just these little moments, these little final moments where it wasn't enough. And Bradley Cornell talks about that in one of the clips I'm going to play here a little bit later. And Miami, they capitalize on the chances that the Union allowed them to take advantage of. But I do think that there are positives seeing that, okay, look, the Union were in it, leading against Columbus. They were leading against Inter Miami for majority of this game. And yes, you give up a goal against Columbus in the 92nd, 93rd minute to Zawadzki. You give up the tying goal to Segovia last night in the 95th minute. And it's painful. It's painful. It is definitely painful seeing the Union concede so late in these games when you're like, wow, just another minute, another 2 minutes, and the Union are about to take all 3 points. But yeah, I mean, it is good to see them creating opportunities, being in these games against teams that I would say are top 4 teams. Yeah, Miami may not be in the standings a top 4 team, but I do think when it's all said and done, Miami is going to be one of the best teams in MLS. They have just way too much quality on that roster not to be. And so to see the Union be in it against Columbus, be in it against Inter Miami, I think that should keep fans positive. And we'll talk about that here in a little bit. The Union being off to the best start in franchise history. Quinn Sullivan's goal, obviously, is second of the season. The Union best start through 15 games with 30 points. You also had the Union score 2 set piece goals last night, fantastically. scored set piece goals. The first one from Kai to Quinn, then the throw in from Nathan Harriel into Tai Baribo, cleared away poorly by Inter Miami. And then you had Jesus Bueno, credit to him, right? Getting more and more game time for the Union, keeps that play alive with the shot. And then Danley John Jock takes the ball off of Sergio Busquets' foot. They credit it as a shot, not an assist. And I don't know. I think that was an assist by Danley John Jock. I don't know. What do you guys think? Shot? Did he mean that pass to Tai Baribo? But regardless, seeing the Union just battle because, yeah, they gave up the goal in the 60th minute to Alanda. And until that shot by Jesus Bueno, the Union went 73 minutes without a shot in the second half. Complete night and day difference. You go up 2-0 at the first half, you're in dreamland. And then you just come out slow. You don't really create too many chances in the second half. Miami make it 2-1. And then you finally get that shot with Jesus Bueno. Danley John Jock gets the assist. It wasn't credited as the assist to Tai Baribo. You make it 3-1. Tai Baribo has a chance to make it 4-1. You have a chance with Jovan Lukic to make it 4-2. But yeah, just seeing the Union come out and create these chances, I think a lot of positives to take away from last night. And it shouldn't make the Union fans disappointed. Yes, I mean, you feel like it's 2 points drop because it is. But seeing them compete against teams that, let's be honest, the Union really weren't competing with last year. And it's a night and day difference compared from last year's team to this current team. And I think a big part of that is Bradley Cornell trusting that bench, bringing guys off the bench and trusting these guys. Hey, look, you're a role to play and you might not have that much experience, but I'm going to put the keys in your hand and I'm going to trust you. And that's exactly what we've seen pretty much all season long. But I do want to talk about the drop points in stoppage time. I mentioned it a couple times there. Second time this season that the Union have drop points in stoppage. You give up the 93rd equalizer to Columbus 15 days ago to Zawadzki, a set-piece goal you concede. Union concede a set-piece goal to Messi with that free kick. It's disappointing. Two-goal lead, worse in soccer. We all know that. How many times have we seen that? Union, though, come from behind against LA Galaxy, down 2-0 in the first half and wind up winning 3-2. And so it's soccer. That's exactly what Bradley Cornell said. There's going to be moments like that. And it's experiences where Frankie Westfield, Oluwatu Makanya weren't playing with the first team last year, don't have experience at the MLS level. But look, he's trusting them enough to put them into these games, having Frankie Westfield come off the bench, trusting Oluwatu Makanya to start against Lionel Messi, Luis Suarez. And for the most part, I think Makanya played good. I think he played really good last night. Frankie Westfield's had a fantastic season. And it's just one poor clearance away from Frankie and into Miami, take advantage of it and tie the game up at 3 apiece. But this is what Bradley Cornell had to say last night in regards to dropping points yet again in stoppage time.
Listen, we beat Galaxy at the death. So that's this type of a game that's what it is, right? So to be where we are after 4, 5, 6 months, I say it every week, what group we have here and the gentleman that we have, and afforded the opportunity to coach these guys, and it's amazing to see their growth. It's amazing to see Frankie Westfield, the Makanya, these guys who've never had the experiences of high-level MLS games that they now are getting. Of course, there's going to be growing pains. So, and this we have to embrace it. So, one half of me is still smiling, and ear to ear, the other side is now pushing the professionalism of the game and how we can dictate the play. And I've seen a lot of both, right? I've seen us close out games in Orlando. I've seen us close out games in different ways and be really ruthless. That we have fluctuations. It's going to be totally normal and natural. And this is part of the journey as well. And I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I guess on one hand, it is cool watching guys that didn't get a chance under Jim Curtin last year finally getting an opportunity. Bradley Cornell trusting these guys. And yeah, I mean, you had the injuries to Nathan Harriel and Olivier Bazo in preseason. Frankie Westfield gets given the opportunity to start, takes advantage of that, and hasn't looked back. Makanya takes advantage of the injuries to Neil Pierre, to Jan Glavinovic, and he's looked good for the most part in this season. Yeah, there's still moments where he can do a little bit better. I think the first goal that Inter Miami scores with Alanda, yeah, you want to see Makanya closer on the mark. You want to see him closer against the midfielder there. Shouldn't be getting out jumped by a winger, but it's these little moments where you're going to learn. And the more and more these guys are thrown into the fire, when the games, not saying that they don't matter now, they do, obviously, but we all know that it doesn't really matter what you do in the regular season as long as you get to the playoffs. And so these guys are gaining valuable experience. And once the playoffs come around, you hope that the mistakes that they do occasionally make won't happen come playoff time. And so, yeah, I think it is disappointing. Absolutely. Fans should feel disappointed that the Union were this close to finally beating Inter Miami coming into the game. The Union had gone 3 straight games without a win. Now it's at 4 against Miami. They were so close. You were so close 15 days ago against Columbus Crew, getting a win. And it's just little key moments in stoppage time. For whatever reason, switch off. The communication's not there. But like I said, you hope come playoff time, these mistakes that we are seeing here and there get corrected. You don't see them in the playoff time towards the end of the season because we're 15 games through the season. We're not even at the halfway mark yet. And to see the Union with 30 points in 15 games, there's a lot to be positive about. And so I'm going to go ahead and read some more of your comments. Valerie says, good point about even Messi not luring people into the comfy seats. Yeah, absolutely. Mandy says, stoppage time is our kryptonite, except for against LA Galaxy. It seemed to go the Union's way. McFly says, they definitely don't even quit. I feel like past teams look flat the second half, dating way back to the Novak era. Yeah, that is absolutely correct. Last year, oh my God, how many times did the Union look flat and they blew games that they shouldn't have blew? The Chicago Fire game when the Union are up 3-1, lose that game 4-3, still gives me PTSD and probably part of it because I traveled to Chicago for that game. Minnie says, felt like we could conquer the world that first half. Everyone seemed locked in. A friend watching the broadcast said Glesnes looked like a man possessed. He did. And you even saw, I don't know if you guys noticed this, when Messi had the free kick, scored the free kick, Glesnes is yelling. He is yelling the top of his lungs. I don't know what he's yelling, probably yelling Norwegian to Messi, but he's just trying to get into his head. And that's a guy who, in the second half, didn't have the greatest game, didn't have a great 2024 season, but he's completely turned it around, his 2024 form to 2025. And that's a credit to him. But it's a credit to so many players on this roster, right? Buying in to what Bradley Cornell is doing. And we had talked about this last podcast, I think it was, Jose and I, how it's just a true belief with this team, with Bradley Cornell. And that's something you love to see. And so, yeah, hopefully these mistakes that you saw against Columbus, the mistakes you saw against Inter Miami, as the season goes on, the more and more Bradley Cornell trusts these players to play, you hope these issues get corrected. Because it doesn't really matter right now, 15 games into the MLS season, where there's still plenty of soccer left to be played. Yes, the season doesn't end yet. Yeah, I know the Union are in first place in the Eastern Conference, but anything can happen. This is MLS, and we all know that. Dan says, Union will be better for last night. I believe that. He says, but I'm convinced now more than ever Inter Messi will implode before the playoffs get here. Minnie says, 30 points with a plus 13 goal differential is fantastic, but 34 points with plus 15 or so would be unreal. Absolutely. Dan agrees with that comment there. Now, let's see. Anything else I want to talk about stoppage time? Yeah, I mean, look, Union take care of business against teams that they should beat. Drop points against teams that are top in the league. And it's disappointing, but I do think this is going to be growing moments. Speaking of growing moments, Union did, I think, a pretty good job containing both Messi and Luis Suarez last night. Yes, Messi scores that free kick, but Suarez, I don't know if you guys realize this, had the least amount of touches for any outfield player to play 90 minutes last night, 36 touches. He had one shot. It was a header in the second half, off target. Most of his touches were at the top of the penalty arch or out wide left or right. So he wasn't even central. The Union did such a good job taking him out of this game, making him non-effective. Messi had to drop deep a lot of times to collect on the ball. He likes to be centrally, likes to cut in from the right into the left. We saw that at times, but a lot of times too, Messi was getting frustrated because the Union were doing a good job taking away that space, always having a player on him. And yeah, there's been moments where Messi's going to dribble past you, where Messi's just too quick for you. He's 2 passes ahead of you. But for the most part, I think the Union did a good job containing him. Didn't create a single chance last night. 2 out of 3 shots on target. Andrew Rick makes that save on him in the first half. Shot from distance. Makanya gets megged on the shot. And it's a big save there by Andrew Rick. 4 out of 9 dribbles complete for Messi. And so it's not like the Union were letting him have his way the whole game. It's a moment of brilliance. You give him one moment, and good players, great players, world-class players, generational players, the best player ever to do it, Lionel Messi, is more likely than not going to make you pay. And when you go back and rewatch that, Andrew Rick actually did get a hand on that. Does it get blocked a little bit by Luis Suarez? Yeah, maybe a little bit. Kai Wagner keeps Suarez on side because Kai, for whatever reason, thinks, yeah, we need to get a player on the left post. And Messi scores that free kick, the opposite side of the wall, which is really, really disappointing. But again, you talk about these moments, players growing and players, getting this experience. Andrew Rick continuing to start in goal because Andre Blake's continuing to deal with that knee injury. 7 games now that he's missed due to injury this season. And thank goodness, Andrew Rick's been a very serviceable goalkeeper this season. The more you play Andrew Rick, the more confident he's going to get. Last year, when the Union had to play into Miami with Andrew Rick in goal, I was not confident with him. But going in last night's game, I'm like, yeah, I trust Andrew Rick just because he's getting this experience. He's making key saves when he needs to. He's so good with the ball at his feet. And so I don't think the Union lost this game at all to Andrew Rick. Yeah, maybe he could have done a little bit better there. Gets a hand to the ball. But at the end of the day, right, it's Lionel Messi. And all he needs is one chance. But for the most part, the Union kept both players quiet. The Union, if we're being honest, they beat themselves more than Messi and Suarez beat them. It's the poor closing down of Noah Allen by Nathan Harriel on the first goal. Ball gets whipped in by Allen. It's the goal there by Alanda. Poor marking by Alueta Makanya. The third goal, you allow Tomas Avilas to dribble through the midfield. Nobody puts a body on him. Here's a line-splitting pass through Danley John Jock and Jovan Lukic. Ball gets played into Jordi Alba. Alba notices that Noah Allen's wide open on the left-hand side of the field. Plays the ball out to him. It's first time cross into Arlanda. And so it's just these little moments that you wish that the Union could create. But the players that you thought would make all the difference in the world for Miami last night, the Union do a pretty good job containing them. And this is what Bradley Cornell had to say last night on containing both Messi and Suarez.
I think if Messi starts drifting towards a left back or a right back position, I think they've done their job pretty well. And I think we've seen that over the night. And I thought they were pretty good, with their space defending. I think Allende gets in behind once. But other than that, we mitigated balls in behind. I think Kai and Nate did a great job. The one moment we give away the free kick, everyone holds their breath and hopes it doesn't. And we've seen it a million times that, we get penalized for that. And then they start with a bit more belief and obviously a little bit of panic and doubt and fear maybe creeps into the minds of the boys, which is also totally natural. So again, to then bounce back to have 2 chances at the end there, again, they took theirs, we didn't.
And there's that comment, Bradley Cornell talking about Miami taking their chances and the Union didn't take their chances late on in this game. And yeah, it's unfortunate that 2 chances with Jovan Lukic and Danley John Jock literally had the last kick of the game with the header. Huge opportunity, and Subaru Park definitely would have erupted there if we would have seen Danley John Jock put that ball in the back of the net, or even if this game would have remained at 3-2, I think Subaru Park would have erupted. You saw how disappointed these players were when they conceded the game-tying goal to Segovia. But to their credit, you talked about it, McFly, where the team comes out flat years prior in the second half. This team, even though they give up the lead, they have one last chance later on in the game with Danley John Jock, with Frankie Westfield sending in the cross, and unfortunately not able to put that one in the back of the net. Dan says, I feel anything less than 6 points this week would be a letdown. Talking about the midweek game against Toronto and then going out to Dallas. I think both games on the road going to be difficult for the Union, but definitely have to get points. 100% have to get points. Dan says Suarez is an absolute fraud anymore. A lot of complaining from Suarez last night. Manny says Suarez only had touches on our players. Yeah, very physical game last night. Don't want to blame the referee, but wasn't the greatest officiated game, I believe, from Drew Fisher. A lot of non-calls. Could Redondo have been sent off for his elbow into the throat of Bruno Damiani potentially? You had the play where where Tai Baribo is getting grabbed in his groin area. No, could have been a red card, right, for violent conduct. Kai Wagner, I think, sells it a little too hard where Wiegand hits him with a boot in the face. Both of them are going for the 50-50 challenge, and I don't think Wiegand meant anything for that. But yeah, there was definitely some questionable calls last night, and Dan says I'm pissed and moaned to that referee talking about Suarez. And yeah, at the end of the day, I don't think the referee lost the Union the game. I don't think Miami did too much against the Union. It was just the Union, these little moments, Union beating themselves. Mandy says, wanted to see Nate subbed out at the same time as Quinn. Both look beat at that point. McFly says 100% accurate. We weren't outplayed by a better team. We just have sporadic lapses on defense. And that's hopefully something that the Union can correct going forward. Valerie says, is everyone rooting for Atlanta tonight to beat Cincy and keep us in first? 3-2 Atlanta in the 84th minute. Santos and his blue hair just subbed in. Keep us updated, will you, Valerie, with what goes on in that game? Because, yeah, definitely want to see Atlanta get a result and keep Union in first place, second place in the Supporters Shield standings. Dan says, has any of those offenses been committed by Union players? Rest assured, VAR would have had a long look. Yeah, and probably would have seen a Union player or two get sent off too. So that's how it goes sometimes. But again, I don't want to spend the whole podcast complaining about the referees. But let's go ahead and talk about Tai Baribo's form. We'll talk about Tai's form, and then we'll go ahead and talk about Blunder of the Week. Blunder of the Week's pretty good. No need of me talking about 30 points in 15 games. We've talked about that enough, I think, tonight. So, yeah, Tai Baribo, 13 goals in 14 games, leads MLS in goals. And honestly, who would have seen this coming? We talk about Dylan John Jock. We talk about Quinn Sullivan potentially being sold this summertime. What about Tai Baribo? Teams love goal scorers. And I think that Tai Baribo, if he continues this form, could we see Tai potentially sold in the summertime? It's possible. I think part of the reason why the Union went out and signed Bruno Damiani was more so to cover for Mikel Uhre probably being gone at the end of the season with his contract being up. But I don't think Bruno is a like-for-like switch with Mikel Uhre. I think the team would probably want another striker. If you don't bring back Mikel next year, you want a striker that can get in behind. But let's not forget that Tai Baribo has an option for 2026. And after 2026, his contract's up. And so with the form that he's in, he's for sure going to ask for DP money, I would imagine. He's a TAM player. The MLS roster salary guide for the spring 2025 season hasn't come out yet, so I'll be curious to see, what somebody like a Bruno Damiani's on, a player like Jan Glavinovic, Tai Baribo, did he get a pay raise? Yeah, a lot of great questions to see for the salaries for 2025, but the form that ties in, could he potentially be a player that gets sold in the summertime? Could he be a player that gets DP money? He should be, with 13 goals in 14 games. Yeah, he's been in fantastic form. And I think part of the reason too why MLS owners, why some fans, I don't think all fans feel this way, but why some people want MLS to change their schedule and go more with the rest of the world with the European window is because it is so crucial when teams sell players during the summertime where that's not the main transfer window for the Union. That's when, everybody else in the world's doing their main business, but not really so much MLS teams. And so when the Union are active in the summertime, in the wintertime, teams really aren't wanting to sell main players unless it's a crazy offer like Cincinnati had for Kevin Denke to, I forget the club in Belgium, $16 million they paid, insane fee. But I do think something needs to be done about this transfer window in the summertime because it does hurt MLS with it being a shorter window, with the windows being open longer in Europe around the rest of the world where, MLS teams, they don't have that much time to replace players if they sell key players away. And so it does bother me a little bit if the Union do sell a Quinn Sullivan, a Danley John Jock, or a Tai Baribo, because look, the MLS season's halfway through at that point. There's still playoffs to be played, where it doesn't really matter if teams in Europe sell their players during that time in the season because their season hasn't started. It's their off season. They're re-upping their squads. That's why they're coming to MLS to buy players. And so it's harsh to watch players leave during the summertime when, yeah, you still have playoffs to look forward to. And so I can understand why some fans, some executives in MLS would like the schedule to be changed and whatnot. But yeah, I do think not many fans are going to want to have MLS play during the brutal summertime and the wintertime in December, January, February. I mean, can you guys imagine going out to Colorado, to Utah, to Minnesota in December, in January? You may not ever make it back because of blizzards and whatnot and just how brutally cold it gets. So, yeah, it's a tough spot MLS finds themselves in just with their season being at the halfway point when the summer transfer windows open up. Tony says, definitely would love to see the Chances Creative video. All right, Tony. Since you said you want to see it, I'll upload it tomorrow night. I have it made. I just couldn't include it in the latest goals breakdown video. So, yeah, I'll also include that tomorrow morning. Dan says, Union get 2 points per game the rest of the season. Sign me up. Beers for everyone. You guys heard it here. Dan Herman said, beers for everybody in the chat if the Union continue to get 2 points per game the rest of the season. Mandy says, am I remembering correctly? He was Golden Boot winner in his previous league, or maybe close to the top. He's a proven goal scorer, and it's a shame he was warming our bench. Yeah, I think he was up there. I think he was Golden Boot winner. I'll have to go ahead and check. Somebody in the comment section can look, I guess, if you guys have time, see if he was the Golden Boot winner in Austria prior to coming to the Union. But he was the Golden Boot winner last year in League's Cup. So there is that. It's a big achievement for Tai. And now he just continues to score in MLS this season. Dan says, Tai scored 28 goals and 62 appearances for Wolfsburger. Good, but nothing that would have predicted this. Mandy says, thank you. I vaguely remembered him having a pretty great record. Yeah, 13 goals in 14 games. Unreal stats from Tai Baribo. And a little stat that MLS put out after the game. With last night's brace for it, Tai Baribo became the fourth player in league history to score at least 13 goals in his first 15 games of a season, joining Carlos Vela, 15 in 2019, Chico Arango, 13 in 2024, and Josef Martinez, 13 in 2018. Baribo also became the first player in team history to record 4 multi-goal games in a season. Baribo reached 29 goals across all competitions with the Union, the 8th most in club history. And Tai also made his 30th career MLS start for the Union. So, yeah, it's great to see Tai Baribo continue to set records. And that's pretty great company with Carlos Vela. We all know how great he was a few years ago with LAFC. We all know how great of a player Josef Martinez was with Atlanta during his time there. Chico Arango, been one of the best strikers the last few years in MLS. So, yeah, great company. Tai Baribo continues to find himself in. And, yeah, hopefully this hot streak of just continuing to score doesn't die down, because the Union are going to continue to need his goals through the rest of the season. Dan says, how long before we start talking about European clubs sniffing around Quinn? Yeah, I think it starts happening here soon, especially, Dan, if Quinn Sullivan does make the final roster for the Gold Cup, and if he has a good Gold Cup, then, yeah, it's going to be very, very difficult for the Union to keep hold of Quinn Sullivan through the summertime. Valerie with an update for the Atlanta United game. She says still 3-2 for Atlanta with 2 minutes of stoppage time to go. So, yeah, that game's definitely going to end before we end the podcast. But speaking of ending the podcast, let's go ahead and talk about Blunder of the Week. And I'm not going to play the video because I really don't want to share violence on the podcast. If you guys really want to see what happened in last night's San Diego and LA Galaxy game last night, you guys can go ahead and search for it on social media. There's a ton of videos out there. But after the game, San Diego wins this game last night against LA Galaxy. Galaxy, terrible team. Chucky Lozano scores the game-winning goal in the 95th minute to win it for San Diego 2-1. And after the game, apparently San Diego fans go into the LA Galaxy fan section, and a big brawl breaks out. A ton of videos out there, drinks going flying everywhere, people throwing punches. And it was a really, really disappointing sight to see. I mean, what are we doing? Like, why are we fighting? It's a soccer game. It's a game. Like, it's a game. It's for entertainment. Why people take sports in general just way too serious is beyond me. And of course, when you mix alcohol or anything else, and people can't handle that, then it brings out the worst in people. And yeah, it's unfortunate to see yet again another situation with San Diego FC fans. They had a similar situation earlier in the season between them and LAFC fans in April. Supporters from each club fought outside of the stadium. Last night after the game, you had San Diego and LA Galaxy fans fighting inside the stadium. Security nowhere to be found. But again, it's a soccer game. Why are we fighting? Why are we fighting over a game? It's sport. It's like at the end of the day, you got to go home like the rest of us. Soccer doesn't dictate your lives, and maybe some people would say it does, but at the end of the day, it's just a game. And so to see San Diego yet again in more controversy, their first season in MLS, fighting more fans, it's really disappointing to see. So San Diego and LA Galaxy fans, both of them are getting my blunder of the week.
Yeah, not good.
Yeah, not good at all. And I do want to go ahead and pull up the statement here released by San Diego and LA Galaxy on last night's fight. Before we get to that, Domesticated Hoagie says Atlanta goal. Valerie, yeah, Atlanta makes it 4-2, and so I guess that's all it's going to be. Mandy says, wanted us to sign the Sullivan twins before Quinn and Cav move on. Would be cool to have all four players at once. That has to be the very first time, right? For a team to have four brothers on the first team, that would be insane. But let's go ahead and pull up this statement from LA Galaxy and San Diego last night in regards to the fight. In quotes, it says, San Diego FC and LA Galaxy are united in our efforts to foster a safe and welcoming environment for all fans attending our matches. There is no room for violence in our sport. The incidents that occurred following Saturday's match at Snapdragon Stadium do not reflect the values of either club and entirely unacceptable. We urge all fans to support the game we all love with passion and respect, ensuring that every match remains a safe and enjoyable experience for everyone in attendance. Both clubs are actively working with Snapdragon Stadium security, Major League Soccer, and local law enforcement to conduct a thorough review of the incidents. Any behavior found to be in violation of the MLS Fan Code of Conduct will result in disciplinary action, which may include a stadium injection and bans. And so, yeah, not a bad statement. But like I had mentioned, second time this season that San Diego fans have been involved in fights. Really, really disappointing to see. And for a team that's in their very first season in MLS play to have this much controversy 15 games into the season, yeah, it gets even worse. So LA Galaxy, San Diego fans both get blunder of the week because I don't know who started the fight. I mean, anytime there's any fighting, you got to throw it on both people, I feel like. So there's blunder of the week. About an hour into the podcast, all you guys commenting, I appreciate it. Hoagie, Mandy, Valerie, which by the way, Valerie, I'm so glad to see that you finally were able to catch a live show. Dan, Tony, Mr. Art, McFly. Who else did I miss here? A lot of people tonight commenting. Skeleton, I completely missed his comments at the beginning of the show. Yeah, a lot of you guys commenting tonight, and I appreciate it. And I do want to say, so I didn't get my match recap article out from last night's game. That'll be out later tonight or sometime tomorrow. But I also have my interview that I completed last Thursday, not this previous Thursday, but the Thursday before, with Ben Bender. We chatted for 12 minutes, and then we afterwards talked for 8 minutes about fishing and had a fantastic conversation with Ben Bender, all in all, 20-minute conversation. So that will be coming out here in article form. I'll include the soundbite clips for you guys to go ahead and listen to that because the union, they did me a solid by providing Ben Bender pretty much last minute. And it was too good of a opportunity for me to not get you guys the audio clips because you can tell the excitement from Ben's voice, talking about Maryland. It's what we spent most of our time talking about, just him growing up locally and just how he got to where he is now in his professional career. We talked about Charlotte a little bit. We talked about him being in the Union Academy briefly, him comparing himself, or me comparing him to Brendan Aronson, and him saying, yeah, that's a fair comparison. So yeah, really looking forward to you guys seeing this article coming out sometime tomorrow, listening to the sound bites between myself and Ben Bender. And I think he will, if he's with Union past 2025, I think he definitely has the potential to become a fan favorite. This guy has such a great head on his shoulder. And just very, very grateful for the opportunity by the Union to talk to him. And look for that to come out sometime tomorrow, as well as my match recap from the Philadelphia Union into Miami match. But if you guys aren't following the podcast on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, follow at Free Kick Pod, wherever you get your podcasts of The Free Kick. Make sure to check out the YouTube channel, youtube.com/freekickpod, where you can check out the goals breakdown video and the podcast live every single episode. I appreciate all you guys chiming in, commenting. You guys make the show what it is. You guys definitely help me carry the show. You guys are the best part of the show. And if you guys want to check out my writing goals breakdown or the podcast all in one place, you can check out thefreekick.substack.com to check out writing, goals breakdown, and podcast all in one place. But yeah, a midweek game against Toronto. Look forward to having Jose hopefully back on the show on Thursday to hopefully talk about a Union win. Hopefully the Union come out and get a good result. And then it's off to Denver for me. And so I got to decide, do I do the podcast while I'm out in Denver? I'm going out with my friend Jem from England, so may have to convince him to do the show. Do I do a goals breakdown video from out there? Do I do an article from out there? We shall see. I mean, it's vacation and he really wants to work, but I do enjoy making content for you guys, and I know you guys enjoy the content too. So I guess when we get closer to that date, we'll decide what I do out in Denver. But with that said, my name is Todd, and this is the Free Kick Podcast.